Diving into some seriously big ideas today. Three of Nietzsche's most famous, actually. Death of God, Will to Power, and the Ubermensch.
Yeah, these are concepts that have really shaped how we see the world.
And they've been misused, too. We'll get into that. But first, let's tackle this whole God is dead thing. It sounds pretty dramatic, right?
Right, it does. But it's not about, a literal death. It's more symbolic.
Exactly. Like, think about it. With science, making all these discoveries, people started to question, well, traditional religious beliefs.
Like, if science can explain how the world works, then what role does God play?
It's like that moment when you realize, maybe, just maybe, the tooth fairy isn't real. Okay, maybe not exactly the same, but you get the idea.
Right. And Nietzsche saw the shift away from religion as like a chance to create something new.
Yeah, like what if we get to decide what we believe? What if we get to create meaning?
Pretty powerful stuff, especially I think for young people who are, figuring things out for themselves.
Exactly. So, okay, we're tossing out the old rule book, but then how do we know what to do?
Well, that's where the will to power comes in. And no, it's not about becoming some supervillain.
Thank goodness. So what is it about?
It's about that drive inside of us to achieve something, to make a difference, even in small ways.
Okay, so like that kid who always gets straight A's, or the one who's like obsessed with their band.
Yeah, exactly. Or someone who spends all their time volunteering, they're all expressing their will to power in their own way.
It's about finding what matters to you and going after it full force. It can be anything, really.
Right. It doesn't have to be some huge earth-shattering goal. It could be like mastering a video game or learning to bake the perfect cake. It's about that feeling of, I did that.
Okay, but we got to be careful here, right? Because this idea has been twisted before.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Nazis, they really messed with this concept.
Yeah, they totally missed the point. So think about it. What drives you? What are your passions?
That's a good question to ask yourself because understanding your own will to power, it can help you make good choices, choices that, choices that won't lead to world domination.
Definitely. All right, buckle up for this next one, the Ubermensch. It's often translated as Superman.
Right, but ditch the cape and tights. It's not about superpowers or anything.
Yeah, it's more about like pushing your own limits, becoming the best version of you.
Have you ever felt like, I don't know, like you had to fit in a certain box?
Like maybe you secretly love poetry, but everyone else is, obsessed with TikTok.
Exactly. The Ubermensch is about saying, hell yeah, I love poetry, even if it's not, the cool thing.
It's about living authentically, being true to yourself, even if it's not the easiest path.
And again, the Nazis totally messed this one up too. Nietzsche was not talking about some master race.
Yeah, he's talking about personal growth, like that constant striving to learn and evolve.
Imagine designing your ideal self, the person you want to become.
That's a cool thought experiment. What qualities would your Ubermensch have?
I think that's something worth thinking about. It helps you figure out, your values, your path in life.
So that's Nietzsche in a nutshell, right? Death of God, will to power, and the Ubermensch.
A pretty intense stuff, right? But hopefully we've made it a little less intimidating.
We've only just scratched the surface, though.
Yeah, in the next part, we'll dig even deeper into these ideas and see how they can actually help you navigate, the craziness of high school.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've talked about, making our own rules, going after what we want. But what about when, like, life just throws you a curveball?
Yeah, like those days where you just feel stuck or like nothing really matters.
Right. Well, Nietzsche has this thought experiment for that. It's called eternal recurrence.
Okay, this sounds intense already.
It's kind of a mind trip. Yeah. Imagine your life, like, repeating over and over forever.
Whoa, hold on. Like Groundhog Day forever?
It's not about a time loop exactly. It's more about self-reflection, I guess.
Okay, so what's the point?
It's like Nietzsche's asking, if you had to live every single moment again, would you be happy with the choices you're making right now?
That's deep. So like, are we spending our time on things that actually matter? Are we, I don't know, with the right people?
Exactly. It's about making sure your life is something you can live with, Not just once, but a million times over.
Okay, so we're creating our own values, chasing our passions, and trying to live lives we won't regret, even in infinite reruns. But there's another big thing Nietzsche talks about that's like super relevant to being a teenager.
Yeah, it's that whole pressure to conform, to fit in.
Like be just like everyone else.
Right, and this is where Nietzsche's idea of master-slave morality comes in.
Okay, hold on. Morality, are we talking like ethics class here?
Kind of, but not really. He's not talking about, actual slavery or anything like that. It's about two different ways of thinking.
Okay, I'm listening.
So master morality is about being independent, self-reliant, creating your own rules.
Sounds pretty rebellious.
It is. It's about valuing things like strength, courage, creativity, that inner voice that says, I'm going to do things my way.
I like it. So what's the other one?
Sleep morality is more about following the crowd, playing it safe, valuing things like humility, obedience, blending in.
So like the opposite of man morality. And Nietzsche thought sleep morality was like the dominant way of thinking.
Yeah, especially in Western cultures, with all the emphasis on religion and tradition, he saw it as a way of like controlling people, keeping them in line.
Interesting. But he also thought we could choose, right? Like choose which morality to embrace.
Exactly. We can be masters of our own destinies or slaves to everyone else's expectations.
In high school, man, it's like conformity city, all the cliques, the trends.
It takes guts to break free from that, to be your own person.
But Nietzsche would say that's exactly what we should be doing.
Right. Be authentic, be bold, be the masters of our own lives.
Okay, but again, this whole thing has been like twisted before, right?
Yeah, the Nazis, they took this idea and, well, they really messed it up.
They missed the point big time.
Yeah, Nietzsche was not talking about, dominating others. He was talking about personal empowerment, about living by your own values.
How do we actually apply this stuff to, like, real life, especially in high school where there's so much pressure?
Well, think about it. Maybe you're passionate about something that's not, cool at your school.
Like underwater basket waving?
Sure, why not? Instead of hiding it, you could, start a club, write about it for the school paper, channel the will to power.
Or maybe you're feeling pressured to do something you're not cool with, like cheating on a test or going to some crazy party.
Right, remembering master morality. I can give you the strength to say no, to stand up for what you believe in, even if it means going against the grain.
It's wild how much Nietzsche's ideas pop up, like everywhere, even in movies.
Oh, totally. It's like they just resonate, even today.
It makes you think, about power and how it can corrupt.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to explore the dark side of human nature.
Right. Like we're not all sunshine and rainbows, We've got a dark side too.
And recognizing that, I think that's important.
It's like he's giving us permission to, I don't know, mess up sometimes. To be human, basically.
Yeah, and to figure things out as we go, which is like a huge relief, especially when you're a teenager, because it feels like everyone expects you to, have it all together.
Oh, yeah. Like all the pressure to be perfect. It's exhausting.
One of my favorite Nietzsche quotes, it kind of goes with this. He says, whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah, it's deep, right? But it's like a warning. We have to be careful not to, become the thing we're fighting against.
Like if you're surrounded by negativity all the time, it can be really hard not to get sucked in.
And speaking of staying true to yourself, there's this other quote I love. It's, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music.
I love that one.
It's like a metaphor, right? For like embracing who you are, even if others don't get it.
Yeah. Like if you're super passionate about something, even if it's like totally weird or niche.
Don't let anyone tell you it's not cool.
Right. You do you.
Sometimes people who are, seen as different, they're just the ones who are brave enough to like march to the beat of their own drum.
Exactly. So I think it's safe to say Nietzsche was like way ahead of his time.
Oh, absolutely. His ideas are still so relevant.
He makes us think about like questioning everything, finding our own meaning and, striving for greatness, however we define that.
And maybe, just maybe, if we listen closely enough, we can hear that music he was talking about. The music that makes us want to dance, even if nobody else understands it.
I love that.
So keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep dancing to your own rhythm.
Awesome advice. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Nietzsche. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it.
And remember, stay curious, stay open-minded, and never stop asking those big questions.